Now that you've been admitted to the practice of law, a new phase of your life begins, one from which you will derive a profound sense of personal and professional satisfaction. It also will be a journey in which there are fewer universally identifiable goals to achieve and fewer signposts to guide you. This chapter should be helpful to you as you begin your legal career.
There is no substitution for preparation, and there's no substitution for dedication and commitment, and there's no substitution for good ethics. I know the time when we started practicing law here, even with the race situation being the way it was in the 50s, if a lawyer were to tell Judge Walter B. Jones or Judge Eugene Carter, and those were our two circuit judges, that another lawyer, we have reached an agreement and this is the agreement, the judge wouldn't call the lawyer, he'd just do it. And that was that type of reliance you could have.
When you go home, you need to put on your mother hat, your father hat, your son hat, or whatever hat, and if you've got a briefcase in the corner, you're either, if you don't work on it, you feel guilty about it, but you have no sanctuary. You need to have some sanctuary. And so my advice is stay at the office as late as you need to, but when you go home, leave the briefcase so that that time at home you can devote to being a family member.
You've got to be what you are. You can't be something you're not. I do believe that's important. And be what you are to other people. Don't pretend to be something. You know, a jury is the greatest judge of human nature in the world. They can see right through phonies.
Sometimes when you don't have a support staff or a system of helping you develop your clients' cases the way they should be, I don't think you ever catch up. And that's the sad part, is seeing lawyers get behind and never being able to recover. And then some of that spins into some very sad issues of substance abuse, depression, things that, like I said, everybody else in society has, but for some reason we think we're pretty much bulletproof from those things. You know, that we've been through the fire of law school, the bar exam, tough clients, tough judges, and we can weather most anything, but you know, at times it is so much and so overwhelming for some of the lawyers that we find them too late.
Confess your limitations. If there's an expert out there needed in the legal field, tell your client that. Just say to him, look, I am not the lawyer to try your tax case or whatever it might be without at least the assistance of an expert in that field.
Stop worrying about hourly charges and think about the cases and the results to be obtained in the cases. There's too much of this clock spinning to build up fees, and it's very discouraging.
I think one of the big pitfalls is people get in practices or firms or jobs that are not the right place for them. And they're miserable, they hate what they're doing, they hate the kind of cases they're doing, and it makes them hate the practice of law. And I think, and this is something for women too, because I think there's a lot of opportunities in non-law firm legal practice where you can balance the family a little bit better than you can in most traditional law firms.
I think the word practice says a lot. You practice football to prepare, and you practice law so you're preparing, and you get a reputation, I think, of being a well-prepared lawyer that spreads and leads to a successful practice of law.
Try and do it to the extent you can without regard to money. But what's your passion? What are you interested in, and what are you skilled at? And then pursue it. And what it's providing some service. And of course, most of types of law practice provide that service if we look at it in the proper way.
you measure your success by how much money you make in the practice of law, you're going to be a failure, because there's always going to be someone that makes more money than you.
Quite often when they're retained by a client, there's not a clear understanding between the lawyer and the client as to what is to be done, what is expected of the lawyer and of the client. And you need a clear understanding of what you're being retained for. What is your work? What is your role?
I think it's a mistake for young lawyers to try to do everything. I think they need to, to focus on one area of the law, even if it's a fairly broad area, like litigation, and really try to master it and keep up with the evolving law in that area, and have the guts to turn something down that's outside of their area.
Lawyers are fun people to be with, and you ought to just get to know as many lawyers as you can and just work with them.